Hi everybody, in this tutorial we are focusing and building animations in React using Framer Motion. Framer Motion is an easy to use library of animations allowing developers to create beautiful, smooth and interactive experience, and in the recent years animations have become more important part of the websites and it makes the user experience more joyful. So decided to make this video to quickly go over some of the basics of Framer Motion. And the way I have designed this tutorial, the purpose of it is not to recreate this page you see on the screen, but I have included some different types of animations so you can quickly get introduced to them. But first let's take a look what we are building. So I'm going to reload the page. So we have appearing this few animations components first, then coming up with the planets, and they have different changes. So for the appearance they're changing the opacity, then we have stars that are blinking, kind of have a blinking effect, and then this kind of like spheres that look like planets, they're like moving up and down. So yeah, let's get started with the tutorial. We're starting off by creating React project, so that would be using command npx create react app and the name of the project. I'm gonna name this Framer Motion React and press enter. This is gonna create the app, install dependencies. Make sure don't name it Framer Motion because that's the package that we're using. You will get like conflicts. Other than that, you can use anything. And once it's ready, we're gonna cd into our newly created project. So let's copy this command, cd into it, and then we're gonna start the app by running npm start. This should open the app in browser. If it doesn't open, you can always navigate to localhost 3000. And now we're gonna open the application. The IDE of my choice is VS Code. But you can follow the tutorial with any ID you'd like. So here we have our project open, and let's open the terminal and install our package for the animations. That would be Framer Motion. So command is npm install Framer Motion. And once this is ready, we can navigate to source app.js. That is the main file, and all the code here is what's getting displayed in our initial version of the React app. So at the top here we can import motion, and going to remove some of this extra code here. So how do we create or animate any element? So first I'll start with creating motion.h1. So you can use any of the tags that you've been using previously, like div, button, h1, h2, etc. But you just have to use motion in the front of it from Framer Motion. And here we can add like a text. Let's add like a break. And then this is just like a sample text. And for now we have not added any animation, so this will just show up like a normal h1. And now let's add animation. So the way we do that is first we can define what happens on initial, that is when the React component loads, and then what happens on the animate, and then we pass like the styling that we want to change. So for example, on initial we want opacity to be 0, and then on animate we want opacity to be 1. This will create this kind of like appearing effect. And then we can add another property, which is transition. And transition has also various properties. One of the most popular is duration. So how long do we want it to get from opacity 0 to opacity 1, so from initial to animate. And in this case we'll take 2 seconds. And then in here another props that we can define is the style of the animation. So I would take ease and ease in and out, so it will become towards the end like a little bit faster. And that is it for our very first, very simple animation. Let's see how it looks like. To see the animation, we need to reload the page, and you can see how the text slowly appears. I have added assets folder inside the source folder of the SVGs, like icons, that I would like to use. This I would add also link, it would be uploaded to the GitHub. You can download this SVG files from there, but also if you'd like to add yours, animations work just as it would work on the ones that I have here, so feel free to also add yours. And let's get started with the stars first, and then we're gonna make the animation where stars appear and then they kind of like blink like real stars do. So let me import them now, and then the way we import SVGs in React is that we name them and then we pass like the file path. So that would be asset star it's one .svg, and then in total we have 3 of those. And let's change the names. Oh, this is actually gonna be 3. And I'm gonna add another class here, and we'll make the stars relative to that class. So let's say class name hero container, and let's move this h1 also inside of that. So let's start creating the image. So this would be once again motion G, and then we pass source would be star 1. Then I would give it a class name. And we also need alt text. And let's just see how it shows up here. Okay, now I'm going to move this out and put side by side. Let's start adding animations. In this case, we will use the scale animation. So this would be scale, let's do 1.5. And let's set the transition duration to be 2. See, it increased its scale by 1.5 when we saved it, but it kind of like stopped. So we want this to be happening on repeat. So to do that, the repeat is actually the option for transition. So let's say repeat, and as the what kind of repeat, we'll select infinity. So if we like reload this page, we'll see the star growing, but as you can see, it keeps going back to scale 1 and 1.5, but then the transition when it's going from 1.5 back to 1, it's kind of unnatural and quick, it just jumps. So let's make it like reverse it, so grow bigger and with the same duration go slower. So for that, inside the transition repeat infinity, we can add what kind of repeat we want. So repeat type would be reverse. See, now you can see the pace of it increasing and decreasing is the same. And there's a lot of other things that could be done. This could be completely changed into a different animation afterwards, or like repeat type doesn't need to be reversed. It could be like faster at one state from another state, but the main understanding is that like how states work and how like transitions durations work. Now let's add the other stars as well, and then position them in different around like the text we have here. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it in here, just replacing the source, also class name and the alt text. Same thing for the third one. Okay, here we have this 3 stars, and let's open up our style file. So that would be app.css, and I'm gonna open this to the side. I'm gonna change the background color slightly, so I'll make it 0B, 0B, 0F. It's a little bit darker. As for the flex direction column, that's what we want to leave this. Let's make font weight bold. Also to padding, because we'll add more elements around it, so we would need some padding. And then position, we can make it relative so that we can align stars absolute to them. And let's leave this here. As for the hero container, this one also is going to be position relative, and let's set the width of this 100%. And now all the stars have the class name star here. So what they will share is all of them's position would be absolute, but their actual where they would be aligned according to that would be different. So let's start with star 1. So let's make this top 10% and then left also 10%. So for the star 2, let's make this in the right top corner. So this would be right 10%, and then we're gonna have top minus 10%. So this is 3. Let's also make this on the right side, but a little bit positioned differently, and this would be 15. Let's see if we wanna tweak anything. So yeah, let's move this a little bit so it doesn't overlap the text. And this one is star 1, so we can make this also 5. And in the, let's save this, in assets folder I have one more star I didn't include, so let's add that real quick. Okay, here it is. Now let's go over how to use variants in Framer Motion. Variants help us define different stages of the animations, and we'll make use of planets to describe this. So star first, I never updated the name star 4. Okay, I'm gonna import some planets at the top right now. That would be planet 1. Copy this, paste it, and alright, and now in here let's define some variants. So we can name this planet variants, and this is where we give a name to different stages. So in my case I'm gonna have 2 options, visible and hidden. Doesn't matter what names you give them, but later on when we're actually creating the motion component, then we have to indicate which stage to use. So let's start by, first let's do hidden. So the only thing in here that I'm gonna add is opacity 0. And let's do the visible next. So first thing, we want opacity to like be able to see it fully, so that would be 1. And then during visible, these planets would be moving up and down. So that means they're going to be changing y coordinate, and this is where we pass by how much, which is going to be 10 in our case. And now let's define what kind of transition do we want. So first one would be, let's say, duration 2, and let's add a comma here. And let's also do repeat to the infinity, and repeat type, this one's as we already did, and you guys know, reverse. Oops. Let's save this, and let's add the images. I'm gonna add them below headers, so motion.image. So planet 1, and then we have, and let's another one. And let's actually move this to below our text and the stars, so it would be before the header tag ends. Now to use our variance, this is how we pass. So we say variance and then equals to the variance name, in our case planet variance, and we would also in here indicate when do we want to use each single variant. And so on initial we want it to be hidden, so we pass the string hidden, and then on animate we indicate visible. Here you can always have like more stages. For example, you can make use of React useState hook, and then based when like hook changes, you can have some kind of conditional variable. So for example, if some toggle is on, then visible; if it's not, then maybe something else. So yeah, that would be, but the purpose of this was to show how to use and define variables, variants in Framer Motion. So, and then let's copy this for the other planet and take a look at what our variants animation do. I'm gonna move this up. So as you can see, it appears and then moves up and down. What we want is that the opacity change, we only want it when the page loads, and then this moving up and down we want when the opacity is 1. So how do we do that? We can go back to our variants and see that when we set the transition, we want different transitions for these two properties, right? And that's achievable by inside transition defining the property. So let's get started with opacity, right? This we don't want to be on infinite, so we're gonna say duration, let's also set to true. Ease, like the type of the transition, let's do ease in and out. And let's do delay 2 seconds. So it takes 2 seconds to load all the other animations because that's the duration we set. So let's load planets after everything else loads. So that's why we have delay second. Now let's define the one for our Y component. So we can pass this in here. And one more thing I'm gonna add would be the, actually I'll also add ease in and out. And after that delay. So I want this planet to start moving after it's done with the opacity, so after it fully appears. Otherwise it'll be a little ambiguous for the user. So in here, because it takes, this is delayed by 2 seconds, and then it takes 2 seconds to fully appear, I'm gonna make the delay of this one 4. And let's see the difference. So let's reload the page to see the opacity kick in. So now we have it, and then now it starts moving up and down again. That's what we wanted. Let's just update the positions of this. So we're gonna move this one in here, and this one somewhere maybe here. So going back to our app.css file, let's start yPlanet1 position pixels right position also absolute. This one let's do. Oh, I actually named them. Let's rename Planet 1 and then okay, I'm gonna move this a bit. Let's do by percent, so like oh wait, that was the other one. Okay, so let's do top also 10%. Oops. Okay, that looks better. Now just as a decoration, I'm gonna add some spheres around this planet, but those are not gonna have any animations. You can always add like appear, disappear, the same one that we did like when we set opacity 0 to 1. But let me import them at the top. So import sphere. And if you're looking to try more animations, I'm gonna include a link to the Medium article that I did for animating text, like showing letters one by one. It's like similar to the typing animation, but not exactly that. And later on, I'm gonna also include a link to some of the examples because I've done other animations. So maybe you can use some of the code snippets. I can put together a file or documentation. So keep an eye for that. I'll add it in the description and in the comments, but not at the time of the upload of the video. I probably won't have it ready yet. Okay, so we have spheres imported and I have them here, just double checking. And then let's do those below header. So those are gonna be just like regular images, source, first one sphere left, and then we're gonna have class name equals to sphere left, alt text or also. Right. Okay, let's do the styling. Also, the source code of what we built in this tutorial will also be on GitHub, so you can check that out. This would be all the way at the top and in the corner. See. Okay, here it is, and those are like kind of around. Our plants are kind of like center of the spheres, but they don't really need to be. Yeah, this is it for this tutorial. Just a quick introduction. Thought it would be useful for you guys to frame your motion, and let me know in the comments if you guys want to see more of the animations, or if there's like a specific animation you have in mind that you want to see how it's built. And I definitely read all the comments very carefully, and thank you for watching this. I'll see you guys in the next video.